Hey there and welcome back to class. Today we're going to be diving into one of the most important parts of your brow journey. So everything pigments. Understanding how pigments behave and knowing which one to choose for different clients is key to your beautiful, long-lasting results. I've got my pigments here and we're going to be doing a quick, simple demo using just 1 drop of pigment into water. Why? Because this shows us the true undertone of the pigment and what it really looks like when it's diluted. Like how it appears on healed skin over time as well. Okay, so you're here to learn, grow, and create beautiful results for your clients, and I know firsthand how overwhelming pigments can feel in the beginning. That's why I created this pigment cheat sheet just for you. It took me years, yes, years of experimenting, healing results, tweaking formulas, and working on so many different skin tones to finally figure out what works best for my clients and my style, which is always soft, natural, and timeless. I've personally handpicked these pigments after trying countless others because these are the ones that I trust the most to heal beautifully, consistently, and naturally. This cheat sheet is your shortcut. Think of it like getting to peek into my brain and skipping years of trial and error. Use it as a guide as you build your confidence with color theory and client customization. But remember, every client is unique. Let this sheet be your starting point and don't be afraid to adjust, blend, or experiment based on your own eye and evolving artistry. Okay, so let's start with the core 4. These are my go-to base shades from Permablend: Taupe, Mallard, Brunette, and Darkest Brown. These form the foundation of most of my brow work. Taupe is a cool and soft, perfect for mature skin or super fair clients with ashy tones. It's a beautiful choice when you want a very subtle, healed result. Mallard is a neutral brown with a touch of green, making it great for clients with reddish skin or warm undertones. It helps balance that warmth without going too ashy. Brunette is a versatile neutral to warm brown. I love using it on medium skin tones or clients who want a richer healed result without being too dark. Darkest Brown is rich, bold, and great for deeper Fitzpatrick skin tones. If a client has darker hair and wants brows to match, this is a great base. Now let's take a look at how they look with water and diluted. Do this at home as well. You can grab these little cups. I got these from like the Dollar Tree. And you can use wine glasses or just anything that's transparent so that you can really see what the pigment does when it goes in there. So I just grab, I'm with my taupe, and I'm going to put 1 drop to that big amount of water. And look at how pretty that looks, how it goes in there. So we're just going to mix it. I'm grabbing one of my precision Q-tips. And I'm just mixing. You can really see there how you have yellow, for sure, yellow. So this one I really like to use it on my super blonde clients that are, they're very, very fair. In my Fitzpatrick scale, maybe 1 or very rarely 2. But as long as they have very light white hair, blonde, I use this one alone. Here in Yuma, where I'm from, I don't get that very often. So this one I use the least. If anything, I like to mix this one in with the rest of them so that it can warm it up a little bit. Next, I'm going to go in with my my Mallard, and we're going to put a drop in there. There's that drop. And I'm going to go in and mix again. So Mallard, I will use it sometimes on my blondes as well. I know it's a little surprising when you look at it because it doesn't look super light, but on the skin, it does very, very well. So I like to use this one sometimes on my dirty blondes because remember, a mallard has a little touch of green, so that's a little bit more on the cool side. So if they have reddish skin or a warm undertone, this one will kind of balance it out. It won't be too light, like as if you were to use taupe, but it'll add that enough coolness in it to make that brow look nice and natural still. So I like to use this one alone on my clients that have dirty blonde hair. Okay, and then we're gonna go on to brunette. One drop. Again, you can do this at home and you can really, really get the look of it close up, and it's pretty cool. You can really memorize this by taking a little picture with your brain and it'll stay there. So brunette alone is, again, it's very versatile. So neutral to warm. I like to use this one on my brunette hair clients, especially if they have lighter skin, if they're on the lighter side of the skin but have a little bit of sometimes even dark brown hair. I like to use brunette. Brunette I also like to use on people who have very coarse hair and a lot of hairs, because it's going to be subtle, especially if they're asking for a natural brow. And again, they have a lot of hair, brow hair. I'll use brunette because it's going to heal the most natural. I won't do it on somebody if they have light skin and a lot of hair, but have dark hair. I won't use it alone because it'll be too light. It'll be too natural. If they want a little bit more of a darker makeup look, I'm going to add dark brown to brunette. Another thing too is if you have a person who has, you know, say soft brown, like a light brown, sometimes I'll add taupe to my brunette just to lighten it just a little, because if you add a little bit of taupe to brunette, it really is going to lighten it just a little. Because obviously taupe has a little bit of yellow, it has a little bit of white, so it'll make that one lighter. Okay. So again, if you're wanting to go a little darker but not too much darker, I'll add dark brown to it. So this is what dark brown looks like alone. Now dark brown alone, I will use it on my people who are pretty dark. So my dark skinned clients. And by dark I mean like if they have dark hair but light, thinner, coarse hair, so thinner hair, and they want a natural to makeup look, I will use dark brown alone, and it heals nice and soft. Now, if they want a more darker look, that's when I will add that's when I'll add another, but this is very rare. So normally my dark-skinned clients, they will ask for either a natural look or a semi-natural to makeup look. So I'll keep it at dark brown. So these are my 4 base colors that I like to use. Like I said, this is what I use mostly on all of my clients. You can start off with these 4 and you're good. You don't really need to buy anything extra. You don't need to try different things. Like I said, I have already experimented. I've worked with these, and this is what works for all of my clients, from very, very fair skin to my dark skinned clients. So now we're going to be going into my other pigments that I also like to use every once in a while. Like I said, these are my 4 that I use all the time. But these are the ones I want to show them to you just because it can be beneficial to you. It can be useful, especially once you keep doing it more, once you keep doing more clients. So if my dark skin client wants a dark makeup look, I will go in with my blackish brown. So blackish brown is also from Permablend. Blackish brown will go in with my dark brown, very light. I rarely use blackish brown. I will never use blackish brown alone because blackish brown is very cool, and doing blackish brown alone can cause that grayish look, which makes it look like tattoos. And remember, we don't want our clients to have tattooed looking brows. You don't do that kind of work. I didn't teach you to do that kind of work. So never use blackish brown alone. Blackish brown is always just to cool any color, okay? So like I said, I rarely use blackish brown, but I'm gonna show you what it looks like on the water. So I will mix that up just like that. And see, it's a very rich, dark brown color. It has a little bit of black in it. Like I said, using too much black can cause a dark, tattooed looking brow, and we don't want that. Okay? So this is blackish brown. And lastly, I like to show Tina's Gold. So Tina's Gold is also from Permablend, and Tina's Gold is it's more of like a modifier. So a warm yellow undertone that's perfect for warming up any pigment that might heal too cool. So I'll mix it into taupe or mallard, or even my brunette. My brunette, I'll put in Tina's Gold to warm it up a little, to lighten it up a little, especially if it looks too dark. So sometimes, if I'm not 100% sure which color I should use for my client, I'll go with my first pick, right? Let's say that I used brunette and dark brown on a client, right? So I'll do my first pass and I'm like, oh, you know what? It's a little bit too cool. It's a little bit too dark. I will go in and add a drop of Tina's Gold Sunrise to warm it up. So I'm going to show you Tina's Gold Sunrise diluted. And then I'm going to put it right next to my taupe, because remember, taupe was my lightest color that I used. So you can see the difference. So like I said, this one's a modifier, so it has a lot of yellow. And it'll warm up anything. It literally looks like orange juice. So see, if you compare it next to my taupe, you can see the difference here, how this one looks a little more caramelly, because it still has a little bit of brown in it, but this one is very, very just plain yellow. Obviously, this is not a color that I use alone on anybody. This one is just to modify, so it's to add into any of these to make it lighter, warmer. Okay. All right. Now you can really see that mallard. Let's say that you do a mixture of taupe and dark brown. This is how you create mallard. So you have a little bit of coolness and warmth, and it creates this, ashy, darker blonde color. Okay, so this one is Even Flow, and it's called Almond. And almond is also kind of like taupe, but it definitely has more yellow and a little bit of white. So this one I will use if I want anything dark to lighten up a bit. Again, just like the Tina's Gold and just like the taupe. And then this one is mocha. So if I ever have anybody that's a redhead, I like to use mocha because it balances out. Normally my redheads, they'll have olive skin or, and so this one really balances out. You can see how it has a little more of that like orangey reddish as opposed to the rest of these. This one alone, I'll use it on my redheads, or I'll use, on my redheads, I'll use this one and a mixture of mallard, or this one and a mixture of brunette, depending on their skin type and all of that. All right, so We're gonna swatch those onto the paper. Keep in mind, this is important for you to do because obviously the camera, it might not really show the true colors as if you do it yourself in person. So the way I do it is I'll write down my colors on each row, and then I will wet the paper a little bit, just like that. I'm wetting it. And then I will grab the color and put a little bit on my my applicator. And then you're gonna lightly, softly, because you don't wanna rip the paper, you're gonna go and add that color on there. So you can see the difference of what it looks like when it's wet and over here down here where it's like dry. And this kind of shows you the color. And then you're gonna do it again for the next one. Wet it. So you wet like this. And then you put a little bit of the pigment onto it. And then you go in. I'm doing longer, what do you call it, like swipes, because I want to see the true color. See right here, it looks very dark, but over here you're really seeing that true color. So then we're gonna do it again with brunette. You wet it a little, and then you put it on there, just like that. And this is why I like to show it more onto the cuppies, because on paper it looks pretty dark. That's not really how it is in person when you do it on the work, like when you do it on a brow. So look at that dark brown, how you can see that red in there. Do you see that? So we're gonna go and do it again with this thing, put it on there, and then go in there. Just like that. Okay, and then we're gonna go in with our blackish brown. So again, we wet it. And then see right here, you can also see reddish, but it also looks like more purpley. So like that. And then you can see our Tina's Gold. Okay, so my almond is over here. And then my mocha. Okay. And that is it. You can really see the difference between these and what each has. And like I said, these four are my go-to. These other four are my modifiers or my extra that I don't use a lot. I don't use these a lot, but like I said, it is nice if you want to add a little something, you want to experiment with some. These are your go-tos. Lastly, another thing that I like to have in my pigment drawer is this shading solution. So it's literally just a clear liquid, but the way that I see that this is like when you have your nail polish and you add a little acetone to thin out that nail polish. That's kind of how I see this. So sometimes, if you leave the pigments there for a little while, they'll start thickening up. So you put your pigment regular. So the way that I do my pigments when I'm going to put it on for a client is I will always have a base of 12 drops. So say that I have a client that has light skin but has dark hair, kind of like me. So I will get in with brunette. So I will grab my pigment, my brunette, right? I'll put 12 drops, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And then because I have dark hair and I have, dark brow pigment, I will add a little bit of dark brown. So I'll add, say, 2 drops, or I can add 4 drops if I want a dark. So I will put this in my ring cup and everything ready to go. But if I feel like it's a little too thick, that's when I'll add the shading solution. So like I said, shading solution, that's what that's for. All right? So that is it for this pigment breakdown. Your base for taupe, mallard, brunette, and dark brown. These will cover most clients, but knowing how to tweak and customize these modifiers like Tina's Gold or mix in some favorites like Mocha and Almond, this will really level up your artistry. So as you explore these pigments, don't feel overwhelmed. I know it might seem like a lot at first, but if you follow this guide and you use the pigments the way that I've laid it out, you'll be just fine. I've done the hard part already for you. Years of testing, learning, perfecting, modifying. These are the shades that I trust to heal beautifully on every real client with all different skin tones and types, especially if your goal is that soft, natural look like mine. So trust the process, trust your eye, and don't be afraid. Stick to the basics, follow the cheat sheet, and most importantly, practice. You've got this, and remember, you can always reach out to me with questions. I'm here to support you, and I want you to feel confident every step of the way. Good luck!